guy's not, Richard, if the guy's not here, then just push it to the end of the meeting.
Y'all good to go? We don't have any technical issues that we're waiting on this morning, do we? Okay, all right. That's because you got Olivia up there this morning. I'm just waiting on the clock. 10 o'clock, there we go. Good morning. Welcome to the June 26, 2024 License and Variance Board meeting. I'm Richard Garland, Chairman of the License and Variance Board. To my left is Bo Jones, and to his left is Andrea Worthy. They're both members of the License and Variance Board also and serve as directors in different departments within the city of Smyrna. We will get started with formal business, and we have out of the gate, we have LIC 2024-012 Privilege License Agent Change Request. Is Satish Corelli present? Seeing that he's not present, we'll entertain a motion to move item A to the bottom of the agenda.
A motion to move to the bottom of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That's been approved. Item B is variance request of V24-052, which is a variance request to increase the maximum impervious surface area on land lot 489 at 2649 Grady Street. Justin Sims is the applicant. And at the request of the applicant, we will table this item, entertain a motion to table this item.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion will be tabled to July 10th. Item V24-053 is a variance request to increase the maximum impervious surface on land lot 560 at 2730 Morris Circle. Ashley Dover is the applicant, and again, the applicant has requested that we table this to the July 10th, 2024 board meeting. Can I entertain a motion for that, please?
Motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. I hit the button, I'm sorry. Item D is variance request V24-048, which is a variance request to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 45% to 55.3% on land lot 617 at 5011 Doxford Drive. Veranda Varma is the applicant, and we actually have a couple of variances that we'll cover here. We'll take them one at a time, though, but Ms. Crow, if you could give us the background on both of those, please.
Yes, perfect. Good morning, Caitlin Crow, Planner 1 Community Development. So as you mentioned, these are two different variances. We'll read together. As you mentioned, we'll go ahead and vote them separately. But just to be a little bit more concise, I'll do the discussion at the same time. So this first variance is V24-048 to increase the maximum impervious surface area from 45% to 55.3%. The second variance will be V24-049 to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 17.1 feet. So the subject parcel is a 0.16 acre lot located on the east side of Duxford Drive. The applicant is proposing to replace the existing concrete pad at the rear of their house to create a sunroom that will be within that same footprint, including any roof overhang. When the home was built back in 2003, the builder did go over the allowed impervious of 45% at that time and did not acquire any variances to make that happen. Additionally, a 246 square foot wooden deck was built prior to the the applicant owning the home at an unknown time prior to 2019, which is in the existing drainage easement and also adds to that impervious surface area. So the deck is allowed to remain per the city engineer. However, if work is to ever be done in that area, the deck will have to be removed at the owner's expense. So after the addition of the sunroom to the property, even though it's already an existing impervious, it will be over the square footage allowance by 10.3% or 714 square feet. So because this is a previous nonconformity, this is not considered a self-made hardship. And the reason that we are allowing this to remain without any mitigation is because it has existed essentially since the home was built and has not caused any adverse impacts. Additionally, patios that are flush to the ground do not require any setback variances. However, once the sunroom is created, that is an addition to the home and does need to meet the building setbacks. Thus, this applicant is also requesting a rear setback encroachment of 7.9 feet. Since the patio has existed again since the house was built, this can be supported as well. In fact, a similar variance just across the street back in 2021 was approved at 5008 Duxford Drive for a very similar situation. So there is a precedence for these types of variances in the neighborhood. So after reviewing the variance application, staff does support both requests and recommends your approval with the following two stipulations. The first is our standard stipulation that approval of the variances are conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application. Number two, if any work must occur within the 20-foot drainage easement, the wooden deck may be required to be moved at the property owner's expense. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Grubb?
All right,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
All right. Ms. Farmer, could you step forward to the microphone, please? We're going to ask you, if you would, if you'd state your name for us.
Rubina Verma.
Rubina, thank you very much. You've heard Ms. Crow give us a description of the variance you're requesting. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I think I'm very comfortable with what Caitlin shared.
Okay. Any questions for the owner? All right. There were two stipulations that Ms. Crow mentioned, one being substantial completion based on what you've submitted, and the second being, because of that deck being over the easement, that if we ever have to access that, the city has to access that, then that's going to be at your expense to remove the deck, not the city. Okay, you understand that? And
Sure, I understand and I agree for that.
okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. If you would just have a seat, we'll do this again in just a second for the second one, okay?
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time by stepping forward. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Must to approve variance request V24-048, increase the maximum impervious surface area from 45% to 55.3%, land lot 617 located at 511 Duxford Drive. Mrs. Varma as applicant. Apologies.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes. Next item is variance request V24-049, which is to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 17.1 feet on land lot 617 at 5011 Duxford Drive Miranda Varma is the applicant. Ms. Crowe, is there anything you'd like to add to this request?
Not at this time.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Crowe? No questions. Ms. Farmer, is there anything that you'd like to add to this particular request? Okay, the same stipulations apply, completion based on what you submitted in the deck, being in the easement. Okay. Any problem with that? You agree to both of those? Okay, that was an affirmative. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there any questions for the owner?
No.
Excellent. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to speak for or against this request, please do so at this time by stepping forward to the microphone. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve V 24-049, a variance request to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 17.1 feet in land lot 617 at 5011 Duxford Drive, Miranda Varma, the applicant.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion also passes. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is variance request V 24-050, reduce the front setback from 15 feet to 13.5 feet on land lot 486 at 3083 Nichols Street. Joshua Berry is the applicant. This, again, we have two variance requests for this. We'll hear them both now from Ms. Crowe and then vote on them individually. Ms. Crowe?
Yes, absolutely. Again, Caitlin Crowe, Planner 1 Community Development. So as you mentioned, this first variance is V 24-050 to reduce the front setback from 15 feet to 13.5 feet. And then the second variance you'll hear today is V 24-051 to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 8.8 feet. So this subject parcel is a 0.21 acre lot located at the intersection of Nichols Street and the private drive that is known as Laurel Way. So this is an interesting lot. It is a triangular lot that kind of tapers as it goes towards Laurel Way. It does have an existing about 2,800 square foot home with a shed in the side yard as well. They are proposing an addition on the side that'll be over 1,000 square feet, as well as a 183 square foot front porch addition as well. So once all this is done, there will be 2 floors that will be added. The first will have a living room area, and then the second will create a new bedroom and bathroom, as well as some storage space for the family. So the existing home is already pushed as far to the rear and side as it can go, again, due to that triangular lot. Due to this, they're already on the side setback, and the corner of the home is actually touching that rear setback line. So any type of addition that they would want to do in line with the existing home would cause a variance. The front setback is actually already there. That was done when the home was originally built back in 2017, and unfortunately a variance was not sought after at that time. So this is purely to correct an issue that already exists. Because there has been no detriment to any of the surrounding neighbors due to this, staff is supportive of that request. Additionally, when this house was originally erected, there was a stormwater infiltration pit that was installed directly next to the home. Because this addition is going in that same area, that is being removed and 2 new infiltration pits are being put on the property. Unfortunately, Mark Wolf, our city engineer, is not here today to be able to go in more depth, but I believe the applicant might be able to provide a little bit more information on that if you need, if you have any questions regarding that. However, the city engineer has reviewed this plan and is supportive of the mitigation methods and can support the request. So after reviewing the variance application, staff does support both variance requests and has the following 4 stipulations. The first is our standard stipulation that approval of the variance applications is conditioned upon substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application. Number 2, a plat shall be submitted to the city for approval and then recorded with the Cobb County Superior Court to show the revised stormwater BMP locations prior to issuance of the certificate of completion. Number 3, a stormwater inspection and maintenance agreement shall be completed and recorded with the Cobb County Superior Court prior to issuance of the building permit. And then lastly, a stormwater as-built certification statement shall be submitted to community development for approval, again, prior to the issuance of the certificate of completion. And I can answer any questions.
Are all four of those apply to both requests?
That is correct. Yeah,
Okay.
without the BMPs, we couldn't support this, so,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Grubb?
No, sir.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
Pastor Berry is the applicant for these variance requests. Is there a representative here? Oh, you brought Sean? I'm sorry, we can't.
Hi, I'm Lisa Berry. I co-own the home with my husband, Josh Berry, and Sean Murphy has been representing us and working with us on the development of this.
Excellent.
Good evening, Sean Murphy, 3282 Lee Street. Just briefly wanted to tell you a couple things. I am the original designer of the subdivision that this house was part of from a number of years ago with Rick Kolb. And from what it appears to have happened is that this house, because it sits on a triangle and it was so tight, I had made a recommendation back then that they needed to shorten the depth of the front porch. And that was on the plan shown that way, but when they went to build it, they never picked up on that, and they built it per their site plans that they use on every house. And so the result is the front porch is a few feet deeper than it was supposed to be, putting it over the front setback at the front right corner of the house. So that is the one variance on the front setback, which we only found in doing a verification of the location of the house for the other setback request. The other thing I'd like to point out is that prior to this subdivision being built, there was an older home there and an outbuilding. I don't remember if it was a barn or might have been like a mobile home, I can't remember, but there was a structure that sat right on that rear property, right where their shed is and right where this addition is being proposed. So I would say there was precedence for there being a structure there already. The Berries have a nice solid wood fence across the back of the property, which screens the view of their property from the townhomes behind them. The other thing I would point out is that there's over 50 feet between the back of that fence and the front corner edge or the back edge of any of those townhomes, and a vast sea of concrete for their parking back there. It's almost, I'm not sure the exact dimension, but it's at least 50 feet between the first closest building and the back of their property. As it was pointed out, because of the property's at a triangle, it crosses the back of their house, and that back setback just hits the corner, and there was no way for them to do the addition out the back at all, and going to the right was the only thing possible, which goes across the setback. And where we propose the addition is sitting on top of where the BMP was built for the original subdivision. And so working with city engineer, we determined the best thing to do was to rebuild the BMP in a different location when we're done. So we've proposed a new location for the BMP. So the same surface, the same amount of area and everything is there to cover what was required in the original subdivision. So I can answer any questions if you have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Ms. Berry, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, Sean covered it pretty well.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll do these one at a time, so we'll
Okay.
call you back up in just a second. I do need to ask you, though, based on the four conditions and stipulations that Ms. Crowe stated as far as the substantial completion based on the drawing, the plat for the approval with the revised stormwater, the inspection and maintenance agreement for the stormwater, and the as-built certification, you guys understand that you'll be in compliance with those things in order for us to move forward?
Absolutely, Josh and I both agree with those.
Okay.
And we will comply.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Any questions for the owner? All right. You can sit down and we'll
Yep.
do this again in just a second. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this variance request, please do so at this time by stepping to the microphone. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve variance request, V24-050, reduce front setback from 15 feet to 13.5 feet, land lot 486, located at 3083 Nickel Street, Joshua Berry as applicant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. That motion passes. Item G is variance request V24-015, which is a request to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 8.8 feet on land lot 486 at 3083 Nickel Street, Joshua Berry applicant. Ms. Grove, is there anything you'd like to add at this time?
Not at this time.
Ms. Berry, is there anything you'd like to add at this time?
The only thing that I would add, Sean called out the privacy fence. On the other side of the privacy fence where the addition would be are 20, 30-foot cypress trees So it's fully screened.
Thank you. Are there any questions from Ms. Crowe or the owner?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move forward to the public hearing portion of this. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to speak for or against this request, please do so at this time by stepping to the microphone. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve V 24-051, a variance request to reduce the rear setback from 20 feet to 8.8 feet in land lot 486 at 3083 Nickel Street. Joshua Berry applicant.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes as well. Thank you. We will move back to item A, which is a privileged license agent change. Is Satash Corelli present?
Hi everyone. So he's on his way. Like he'll be here in like next 5-10 minutes.
Okay, you can have a seat.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'll entertain a motion to table this privileged license change to the next meeting.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table item A to the next meeting of the License and Variance Board, which is scheduled for July 10th? July 10th. All right, we'll vote. And that motion passes. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Item A is MIN 2024-090, approval of the June 12th, 2024 License and Variance Board meeting minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And that motion passes. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board this morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move to adjourn.